Hi, my name is Scrutor and today we're going to talk about the Scrutor nuget package and its amazing capabilities when it comes to scanning and assembly and register services in the DI container. Let's go to our code. I have a Scrutor demo API and I have a models folder and I have two models, a house with an ID and an address and a person with an ID and the first name. Then in my repositories folder I have an iRepository base that's a generic interface, and we have two methods that the derived class should implement: the add async that takes a generic T entity, and the get by ID async, which takes as a parameter the ID of the entity and returns a task of that nullable entity. And in the implementations we have two of them. We have the house repository. As you can see, it implements the iRepository of house, and it's a dumb implementation because I have a private static list of houses with one house with ID 1 and another somewhere in time. We have an add async in which we take a house and we add it to that static list of houses, and then get by ID async that returns the house with that ID or null if it does not exist. And it's the same for the people repository. Again, we have a static list of people, and we have the same implementation for the add async and the get by ID async. And finally, in my program.cs I have registered two endpoints, a map get for the houses with the ID as route parameter, and we inject the iRepository of house and we try to get that house. If it's null, we return not found, else we return OK with that house, and the same for the people endpoint. Now we need to register those repositories, so let's do that in another class. I will call that register repositories, and that will be a static class, and it will have a public static iService collection method. Let's call that add repositories, and that would be an extension method to the iService collection. So let's say services, and then now we can say services.add scope, and we have an iRepository of person, and the implementation type will be the people repository, and we can have the same for our house repository, so that would be an iRepository of house and houses repository, and then we need to return the services. So back to our program.cs, we can say builder.services.add repositories, and if we run that really fast, we'll see that everything works. I'll also open Postman, so I'll hit my two endpoints, one for the people with the ID of 1 and we get back Spiros Katsios, and for the houses we get back somewhere in time. So everything works fine. But what we have a project with too many repositories, then we would have to register manually all of them, and anytime we add a new one we would have to remember to register it as well. And actually, let's forget about repositories. Imagine we have a request dispatcher like mediator. We have done this and we use Scrutor there too, because imagine if we would have to manually register each request handler. That would be far from clean, and more important, far from efficient. So what we can do, we can write our own reflection, and we have worked with reflection and generics in this channel, but Scrutor makes it very easy when it comes to register services. So I'm going to go to my nuget packages and I'll search for Scrutor. There it is. I'll add it. I'll comment this, and now we have a new extension method to the services that come from Scrutor, and it's the scan. So I'll say services.scan, and we need an assembly to scan. We can take the current assembly, or we can take the one that the iRepository lives in. So let's say type of iRepository.assembly. So we will scan and we will say from assemblies, and we will pass the assembly that we just took. And then we'll say add classes. And we need to add the classes that implement the iRepository. So we will say c.assignable2, and we need to pass the type that we need to be assignable to, so it will be the type of iRepository. And now we need to specify what type we want to register these classes as. So we will say dot as implemented interfaces, and then we need to specify the lifetime. So let's say with scoped lifetime, as you can see, we can do singleton or transient. So we need to take all the classes that implement the iRepository interface and register them as a scoped lifetime with their interfaces. So that code in here, it's the same as the one commented out, and that's something we need to write only once, and it will work for any type we have that implements the iRepository. Actually, let's comment that as well and see what will happen when we try to run our app again and hit those endpoints. So I'll search for the houses, and if we get an invalid operation exception which says that no service for type iRepository of a house has been registered. So let's uncomment that. And let's try that again. And now, as you can see, we get back the house, we get back the person. Our services has been registered as expected. Now Scrutor also has some amazing decorations capabilities. If you want to see a video about it, let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a nice one.